If you guys are picking up what I'm putting down, most people do this instead of thinking for themselves, which is why I can knock out canned responses for the many Muppets who choose to do just that on the internet. In other words, we're surrounded by carbon copies who are, by all rights, fucking retards. They're fucking everything up. They're quite literally gumming up the works and making things worse and worse every single day. And no one's doing anything to stop this. They just turn a blind eye and this shit gets worse. It's how this works. It's why things are what they are. I'm asking you guys to consider your actions, to rethink what's what. But as always, what the fuck do I know? Thanks for hanging out. As I usually say, accounts like this aren't censored for a reason. I pointed something out having to do with a post. What I was doing real fast is I was just trying to see if he had a Billy Carson post in here. I thought he might. I was just curious. So far I haven't seen it. I haven't scrolled that far down. Bits and pieces in here are going to reflect reality, but as a whole, he's misleading people. We've been going back and forth, so he may block me in a minute too. Where's the post? It's this stuff. So I kicked his dick in the dirt because he's posting things promoting atomism, which is a propaganda campaign and in place to mislead you and I. And if he knew that, he wouldn't have done what he did. But he did. So just to drive things home, because he's also pushing this, he's definitely got a dog in the race, so he's pushing this. Now what I told him has to do with a different color. And he assumes something having to do with this, for the lack of better words, because he wants to polarize people and tell them this. This is, the bee's knees. So here's the comments. So initially I started out with, by the way, Atom translates to red clay, or red earth, not black earth, just to drive that point home. So he reacted, he said, yet alchemy and Kemet. Was name, he says, was name, Kem, which means black for the fertile black soil. LOL, which I have no idea why he would throw that in there. Oh, right, because he's not thinking for himself. And then he said, Black Earth, so we can agree to disagree. Thanks for your comment. And then he threw in a social engineering sticker. So then I gave him this jazz, having to do with social engineering stickers and the fact he's not thinking for himself. And he did not pick up what I put down. He could have, but he didn't. And if he looked into it and he thought about what I said, he would understand what I said, but he didn't. Either way, you guys can read that if you want. He kept going, of course. He said, maybe you should listen to yourself and open your eyes instead of your mouth, trying to sound so wise. Sure, okay. I'm my own masters, and that's bullshit too. You and I have masters. We're using our master's DARPA internet right now. Just to drive that point home. What's it? I'm trying to eat a burrito, pardon me. I'm my own master, so that's where we differ. And he's assuming that I have a master, okay. Which we all have masters again. But okay. So I'm confused who these masters you're delusional of. Well put, right? So he doesn't have the first clue that you and I are slave stock. We're a means to an end. And yet he has how many people following his account, and he hasn't figured that out. He has a dog in the race having to do with, Kemet, and he doesn't realize that there are modern day masters pulling our strings. That's ironic, based on, what history allegedly, shops around. Either way. He said, nice try. I have no idea what that energy. Nice try, though. Energy? Is he trying to spell energy? Maybe? Alright. Speaks for itself and my testimonies. And so I also left this on there initially. I told him your assumption is noted. Did he write back? Just how your entire assumption is noted. This kid's fucking stupid. If you guys, just to throw you a bone, think in terms of the chakras. You do got white on one side, you got black on the other side. You don't get to choose one, is the bigger point. And the word that he shopped around is why I mentioned red, having to do with the red root chakra. Or possibly, Native Americans, feathers, not dots. These are things worth looking into, but instead he turned this into something else. Granted, I did goad him, but I wanted to see how he would react based on how many people are fucking following his account. And he fell right into it. Didn't skip a fucking beat. If he had a clue, if he had a fucking clue, he would not have taken the stance that he took, in other words. A polarizing bullshit stance. Granted, you guys could say the same thing having to do with, I do got a little bit of Native American in me, but that really wasn't my goal. But it could also be said based on what I did, you know, the little jab at the end. You guys get the point, most likely. Yeah. What the fuck do I know? I'm just tired of dealing with people, especially on the internet, who do have traction like this and don't know what they're talking about. If he hasn't figured out the master stuff, he hasn't figured out the atomism stuff, he really should open his eyes instead of his mouth. I just got home and I believe in conviction. I think it's important to have conviction, is a better way to put that. And I'm just being a dick. So the kid in question said, I bet you can't prove or disprove something on my page. So I'll rattle this off because they could already figure this out, but they didn't. So I said, for everyone else who sees this, the kid who moderates the account in question told me I can't disprove anything on their page. Once upon a memory, pardon me, I defaulted, science stood for replicable evidence-based research. Today, science is a belief system based on pseudoscience. Keep in mind, you got to look into this stuff to prove what I said holds water, or assume what I just said means nothing. But still, look into it and try to disprove what I said. I left a comment on this page to see how the moderator would react, and they played right into it. Atoms have never been observed, which means atomism, and it spaced it. 1 second. There we go. Is a paradigm based on, let's do this, based on an adult fairy tale. Moreover, the moderator of the account promoted this propaganda. It hurts to be wrong, but that's the first step in the journey, and this is me really just digging into them, just for shits and giggles. They reacted how many fucking times? Back to point. There's a good chance, based on the post I contacted you on, you're misleading people in other ways as well. Emphasis on this next part. Granted, that's my assumption and remains to be seen. If you guys just run through this account in question based on what I've taught you on the internet, 10 to 1, you're going to find other red flags. And if you guys have time to burn, I challenge you to do so. You're probably going to find red flags in this fucking account. I might be wrong, but I bet you do. You got to remember, you got to look for sigils and everything, not just a superficial fucking assessment. You got to dig deep and pay attention. I said, don't challenge people if it's going to keep you up at night and you can't walk the walk. But kids like this do, they cry themselves to sleep, and because of this, he'll probably block me, but maybe I'm wrong. Still shocked he hasn't yet. Where was the other time I wrote science in here? I wanted to throw it into these. And this is fucking build the shill nigh science. Scream at the top of your lungs at the sky, you know? Because it's her truth, the dog's truth, his truth, the fucking chair's truth. In other words, it doesn't reflect reality. Let's find the thing, and it's going to kick me back, apparently. No. Here it is. You can't disprove anything on my page that involves the soul, you mad. The soul. Shut the fuck up. Alright. And naturally, this kid took attention and care in crafting his words, you know, when it comes to communicating with another person, whether they're irritated or not. They did not present themselves in a way that makes them sound remotely intelligent. That's something else you should take away from this. If you got that many people following the account, and you speak to others like this, I mean, granted, I talk down to people, but Jesus fucking Christ. Either way. We'll see where this goes. And as a refresher, it should already be in here because I'm going to splice all these together. This is the account. I imagine that's the dude. Maybe I'm wrong. But he popped up in here more than once. Let's hear his voice.
The primordial souls on the hero's journey. Supra consciousness is an attribute of the innermost, the spirit. The faculty of supra consciousness is intuition. It becomes necessary to compel our supra consciousness to work for intuition to become powerful.
I'm glad he's reading, at least. There's a lot of propaganda in the books, unfortunately. And if you don't have eyes to see, you're not going to realize it. Just a thought. Kind of like this tangle of snakes. Then again, screenshot it in case he blocks me, but I think Carl Jung is a piece of shit. A piece of shit. And a lot of people cite Jung, and that's usually the telltale sign of somebody who owns an Apple product and is a pseudo-intellectual. Keep in mind that's a spurious correlation. I'm drawn to the format. Let's see what else. We got some Israel in there. And it's only because somebody's been shopping around. I always forget his fucking name. I've talked about it in the past. Carey. Well, it's Carey and Perry in some of the books, but what's his fucking full name? George W. Carey. Somebody started circulating that shit again, and or it was republished. I mean, you can get it on Amazon. And then everybody and their grandmother started posting that shit on there. I've run through this before. We'll do this just for the shits and giggles. The other thing is kids will post this jazz having to do with numbers, but they don't understand any of it. They don't understand the basic template behind fucking numbers, which means they don't have a clue what's going on. I'm speaking in a general sense, not about this guy, because I haven't heard him talk about numbers. Just so you guys know, Walter Russell didn't teach people the fucking grassroots answers. He knocked some outlines out, and some of them touch on what I've rediscovered, but he didn't teach people shit. I've gone through his stuff a lot. A hell of a lot. And listened to, Ken L. Wheeler, that bag of shit. He is a bag of shit. Either way, bastardized some of this, but yeah. I mean, I'll say it's a good sign that numerous things aren't just leaping out as I scroll down. So there is that. There is that. And this guy does sound like he's fucking searching, so I give him that. I mean, his heart's in the right place. And it is hard not to react when people fucking take a jab at you. Which, in another way, if it was the playground, it's good to stand your ground rather than take it, because then you'll just get more of it. So at least, going back to conviction, at least he has that. I see a lot of wishy-washy fucking galaxy-looking bullshit in here, though, too. Which usually bridges, and this is another assumption, keep in mind, I don't know if he's doing it necessarily, but people have been taken in by the New Age bullshit, which is in place to pave the way for a one-world religion, and a lot of this imagery falls into that. I don't know if he's shopping that around specifically, but you imagine somebody who has figured that out wouldn't shop around imagery like this. I mean, I try not to be honest. Actively try not to repost shit like that. Or create things like that, or encourage others to do so. What books does he have in here? It's a bunch of the Kemet stuff. I've gone through a couple of these. I have not gone through all of them. I mean, specifically, I've gone through this one. So I can't speak to all of those. I mean, and the Book of the Dead, I've got a bunch of copies of that. And I think I hit the bottom of this page. So at least I don't see... Oh, I spoke too soon. This is Bobby Hemmett. Controlled opposition.
Of your own being. And whenever you call on these essence, or these particular things on your own being, and give them some alcohol, the stuff works. You see what I'm saying? The stuff works. So I'm not pretty much here for people who are afraid of their own magic. Because the white boy knows one thing.
You hear that? Polarizing
you can
shit.
talk all the solutions you want in your world, want in the world, as long as you don't tap into what you are supreme about, and that's your high science, your magic, which is science. Then who don't worry about shit? You see what I'm saying? He don't worry about nothing.
Bobby Hemmett rattled off a lot of shit, and I do mean shit. He also encouraged people to keep to their races, so to speak, which is polarizing garbage. The most superficial fucking thing under the sun is when you polarize people related to skin color or an absence or large amount of melanin in the skin. Which is also why I took a jab at this guy to begin with, because 99%, I don't bet money, but I could have bet money that he would react the way he did, and he did, based on what he shops around on the account. Based on those 3 images that I started out with having to do with Adam. You could tell because there's a gaggle of people out there who just play follow the fucking leader. They fall into a slot and they don't think for themselves. And typically speaking, they act the same fucking way. They are predictable. This goes back to something else I recorded earlier today. I don't think I uploaded it. But there is a reason why I can knock out canned responses, save them in my phone, copy and paste them when these people react. And I did say these people. I'm talking about kids on the internet in general, in each one of these respective slots, who haven't looked into things, don't know a fucking thing. They are the goddamn problem. And they're not willing to challenge themselves and realize that they're fucking things up. It's fucking crazy is what it is. Just wanted to take a quick glance at these because these don't look like they're corrupted, but they are the more rounded off bullshit images. I mean, if you take gold, if I'm not mistaken, it's always been a circle and it's not slanted. So you could consider that a corruption. Maybe there's an older form I've never seen or I'm just blissfully unaware of. But if I wanted to nitpick, I would say, why did they fuck that up? Because people are putting their own style into this shit, which they shouldn't be doing, for the most part. I'm pretty sure I'm following this account. I should have looked earlier. Because every now and then he'll post, occulty looking crap. But I don't think I've ever been just wowed by this fucking account. I see a little umbrella sigil up top. What the hell is this? What the fuck is that? Looks like the weather report is in Russian today. I'm telling you guys, I'm fucked with, and I have no idea what that is, why that happened. But I'm glad I was recording when it did. Never seen that sigil before. Granted, umbrellas and weather, they go hand in hand, right? Should have known.
Then crack some codes, it ain't. I brought a nigga to
I'm trying to mute it. Do you see where it says 13 zodiac signs? That's incorrect. And that's bullshit. That's new age horse shit. In place to fuck you and I up. If I wanted to be a dick, I mean, I already have been, but if I wanted to stick it to him even more, I'd piss all over that.
Some more.
Extra steps. It's stupid that you can click on this and you have to click on it again. First world woes, but our masters are doing this shit so that things aren't efficient and you don't think of it efficiently. The quickest path between 2 points is a straight line, but instead I had to do 2 bunny hops to fucking get here. It's a shit way to put it, but yeah. These outlines are being corrupted. And that is a new age fucking bullshit outline to pave the way for a one world religion. And it's because people don't understand the roots of things. They don't understand how shit works, so they're easily taken in and they repeat these narratives.
A lot more to go over. 45 codes, 56 codes, 52, 47. We getting busy. A lot more.
Kids like this just make me laugh, but they also piss me off. You'll hear a lot of people talking about these fucking codes. There are also books that have been written with bullshit frequencies, books that have been written that are corrupting how the fucking numbers work. And kids like this usually buy into it and repeat it, and they have how many people following them, which means more fucking retards are going to repeat these narratives. They're going to become familiar with them, which will normalize them, and people won't challenge each other because polarizing positive vibes only don't rock the fucking boat and do the right thing, because we don't need checks and balances. Why would we need checks and balances? Checks and balances would assure that things get better opposed to getting worse. But as always, what the fuck do I know? For all the good I've done over the last decade, this is perspective. Hopefully it's perspective for you guys, because I am censored and fucked with and things are weird. But yeah, it's been a laugh riot. Just got home ventilating the shop, so to speak. To those of you who have picked up books from lulu.com, I thank you kindly. I have not received a check from them since 2017, I think, maybe 2018. I should say until today, for a whopping fucking insane, right? Let's see if I can crop everything else out. Just so you got some visual proof. Pretty wacky stuff. Pretty wacky stuff. Maybe that's the sum total of what I've made. Yeah, I'm referring to Dead Tongue Speak. Typically speaking, because that was really all I was pushing. Because it contains a shit ton of stepping stones. If you guys hung out, thanks. And again, thanks to those of you who give a shit. Well, I put together a video and I left it online. Granted, I did respond again, so here are 2 reactions. And he's still using social engineering stickers. Nothing but the finest from, the internet. As it reads, as much as you're crying about the actual photo and atoms, you ain't saying nothing about 369 cymatics. Yeah, I'm pausing for a moment because I've never met anybody who understands 3, 6, and 9. I mean, they're shopping around what's online. That shit's pretty fucking funny. It's just the same. Let's see. And then he left LOL, because that's something you should throw into a sentence. Want to cry about the one thing triggering you and keep assuming once again, and then he spaced it twice, my journey sharing consciousness is out there for over 10 years. Who are you? Well, I've been doing this shit for over a decade too, but I'm just befuddled by the words you just strung together and why you left that on here to begin with. And then he's doing this again with the INNERG. Is that supposed to be energy? Like energy? It's not clever. Words have power. And I don't know, maybe he thinks it's neat. Either way. Most likely it means energy speaks for itself, and so do divine testimonies. Divine testimonies. You and I are swimming in the divine, just so you know. Who are you trying so hard to expose? I mean, any of you who have kept up know what I've been up to. Moreover, if he took the time just to click on some of the links and follow up with what I've been up to, he would already know this. But instead he left me this reaction. And then we got LMAO. Forcing it, you can't disprove one testimony on my page. You're triggered. I already pointed out the atomism horse shit. In the video, I mentioned Bobby Hemmett. That's controlled opposition. Consider what he said. Not just the polarizing shit. He also shopped around space propaganda horse shit and a bunch of other just flat out fucking nonsense. You could, in some ways, I do think of Bobby Hemmett is the precursor to Billy Carson. At least in terms of socially digestible folks who are part of that camp and are misleading people by example. What else did he leave in here? Testimony on my page. You're triggered and it shows, but everyone who you claim to see this will observe and discern. I mean, it's poorly worded because this kid isn't very bright. And then he left LOL again in there. I thought I'd record this, slap it into the other video, and then upload that shit. Just the same. This is why he has 31,000 people following him, and he's not censored. And when I looked back, I was happy to know that I'm not following this account. But it is something that pops up in my fucking feed and on the Discover option often, which begs a lot of questions.